Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to the Allegheny Northern in N-scale. And today we're going to do the review of the Bachmann SC-44 Amtrak locomotive. And this is a Siemens model in real life. And these units are relatively new. I believe they were delivered to Amtrak last year and then put into service. And I got really excited when these came out in N-scale. I'm not necessarily a big passenger train operation guy. You've seen a lot of my videos that it's all freight trains typically. But these locomotives looked really cool. Everything from the paint scheme to the lighted sides. There's something about them that's very appealing. Now, what really made me want this locomotive more than anything else was the sound that I heard in some of the demo videos before the model was actually released. And it sounded fantastic. And I've got to tell you, it does not disappoint. It contains a TCS, that's a train control systems decoder, and it is really, really nice. Now, that sound you just heard there was I have it programmed to play an occasional whooshing train sound. And it's random. I think there's a couple of different sounds that it goes through. So you will hear that every now and then. One thing I will tell you, the sound functions, the way they're mapped on this is a little bit different than what I'm used to. Yes, you can customize it and change it, but it has all the things that you would expect. So you can, obviously you heard in the beginning, the prime mover starting. It has a shutdown. It has the bell. And let's go ahead and we'll get our headlights on here. And if you hit the bell, they alternate, as well as you get the beacons on the top. And then the horn. Standard, you hold the horn down, it'll keep on chiming. You can do shorts. It also has a couple options where it will play a pattern. It'll do the quill with different horn sounds going through, like a crossing, startup, that sort of thing. So that's also an option. Also, one of the cool things that this thing has, if you go to some of the higher function modes, you can, actually, you know what, let's first get that bell turned off. You can do a station announcement, and it's either departing or arriving. So,
your attention please. Now departing on track 2, northbound train number 130. Passengers are advised to proceed to track 2 at this time. All aboard. Now arriving on track 1, southbound train number 151. Please stand behind the yellow safety line as the train approaches the platform. Only ticketed passengers will be allowed to board the train.
okay, so you get those two functions. Those are pretty cool, and I can see those being used just for the fun during, basic operations. The other thing you get is directional headlights. When the train's going backwards and forwards, and you do have, I'm going to take you around here to the back, and you've got the red lights on the back of the train as well. And of course, you saw that the side is lit too. I don't know why. I think it's just a cool thing that the real model did. I don't know if it's like an interior corridor lighting or what it's designed for, but the real one has it. This one's got it, and it's pretty sweet. And if you get in close there, you can see that there is detail inside that, where the actual prime mover is. So that's a pretty cool feature on this model. And let's also take a look while we're here. You can see the paint scheme. It's very cool. And it's a little bit out of focus here. I'm trying to see if I can get it at a distance where the camera likes it. And there we go. So you can see the detail and the Siemens logo and the locomotive logo there down on the lower left. Most sound-equipped locomotives, as you throttle up, you hear the prime mover kick up, and then as you throttle down, the motor comes down. So very nice features. I'm very happy with the sound on this locomotive. So if you are into sound, this is all, you got to be all about this. Now they do have, for those of you who are still doing DC, there is a mode, from what I thought I saw in the book here. It gives you some limited sounds. I could be wrong on that. You know what? Actually, I do apologize. It is for the Easy Command Station, so I don't know if that's DC or what that is, but I think that's Bachmann's DC system. So you need to go DCC if you haven't already and you're thinking about it. Really, 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 you got to do it. I did a video probably 2 years ago when I updated the layout, and that was before I got into sound. And I always thought that, with the locomotives, the speakers were too small, the sound was too tinny. Boy, it really didn't do it justice. But as you can hear from this locomotive and some of the other ones that I've reviewed, the speakers are getting better, the technology is getting better, and the sound in N-scale is decent. So if you're thinking about it and you're thinking, oh my God, I don't really want to get into it, there's a lot to learn. I'm still learning, but definitely go into DCC. It's the way to go. Okay, so I pulled this thing off the track, which reminded me to remind you guys that there is a keep alive in this model, and it's got a pretty good, 5-6 second count. So if you've got some dirty track, this little guy's not going to stutter on you. And before I get into too much of the detail, I know I've got you zoomed in on the cab here, but before I get too much of the detail, I did use the communities tab on the channel, which if you have not noticed, I use from time to time to post either update videos or hints at videos that are coming out, some update photographs, between videos. Sometimes I'll post a poll or two on there for to get your opinion, give us another way to communicate. But one thing that I did is, other than hint that this thing was coming out, I asked you guys what you thought was, if you had money in your pocket, what you thought you would spend money on as far as locomotive manufacturers go. And got about 80 some votes, and I was not necessarily surprised at the results, but there were a couple of things that I found interesting. So no surprise, number one, hands down, gaining almost 50% of the votes. It was closer to about 45, I think 44%. Was scale trains. Everybody said, if you got money to spend on locomotives, you're buying scale trains. And guys, I get it. I do. I have two of the rivet counter models, and they are beautiful. They are worth every penny you spend on them. I know that their operator series is also pretty well detailed. But if you're going to bite the bullet, get the rivet counters. They're awesome. I regret not getting the rivet counters with sound. Back in the day when I was purchasing those locomotives, I was not doing sound on the layout, so I didn't. Huge regret. I know I can go back and retrofit it, but anyway, get it with sound, get it deluxe, get it built out. Scale trains, yes, the way to go. So for those folks that are scale trains listening, we want more N-scale stuff. Get us more locomotives. Those guys in HO have enough. Stop catering to the HO people. Get the N-scale people. Or we love you out here. Get us some stuff. Okay, great. So shameless plug there for scale trains. Followed very closely by Atlas. Okay, I get Atlas. Why? Because, well, the locomotives typically run well, out of the box. They're fairly well detailed. There's always stuff you can add to them. A lot of molded on details, not a whole lot of separately applied details. It's fine. They are a great mid-upper range locomotive. Some of their newer stuff is coming out. It is actually pretty detailed. So Atlas, and they've got a wide range. There's a lot of stuff available. They offer a lot of different models, a lot of different eras of diesels and stuff. I mean, you can really get a lot with Atlas. So I understand why Atlas came in at number 2. Kato came in at number 3. I think that's respectable. Kato's limit right now, in my opinion, is that they seem to be remaking the same models over and over again. And yes, each time they do improve it a little bit. But, guys, we got enough GEVOs for Union Pacific and CSX. You got to make something else. So I think their release options just are not enough right now. They can't compete with Atlas as far as the models that they offer. So I think if they varied a little bit more, you would see a lot more people go to Kato's Cottos. They are very good running locomotives. They handle very, very well. They pull very, very well. Solid, reliable locomotive. Decent amount of details, not overly detailed. You got to upgrade a lot of things if you want to get specific, but they run good. They look good out of the box. So respectable number 3. I get it. I understood those top 3, but then after that, you had pretty much everybody else. A couple people said Intermountain. There was an Arnold in there. Then a couple of folks added some various other manufacturers. I don't think Microtrains locomotives got much of a vote, if any. And I'll be honest with you, I don't own any Microtrains locomotives. They're pretty much the cars, and that's it. But Bachmann scored very low. Was one of the manufacturers scored really low. And I think what happens is these guys get pigeonholed into they are the toy train set, your first train set, low detail, jerky running, and I think that there's a lot of folks that have not given them the chance that they deserve. So I got if you recall, it was the very first locomotive that I bought, did a video on it. It was a Bachmann. It was an SD40-2 CSX. I have it over in my power plant as the switcher there. And, I was very impressed with it. A lot of detail on it for a Bachmann. I was very surprised. And I'll tell you what, this locomotive that you're looking at here has even more detail and is truly, truly something that I'm surprised at because I did not realize the quality that these guys can produce. So I owe Bachmann an apology for sort of, staying away from them all this time. But let's get in and look at the details of this locomotive. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, first, let's look at the front pilot. And look how absolutely beautiful that front pilot is. You've got your MU hoses. You've got your connection ports there where you would connect all of your various controls and airlines and all the little stuff that's on the passenger trains, the generator power and all that sort of stuff. If you can't tell, you've got separately applied side view mirrors, and yes, those are separately applied handrails up the side. You've got the front of a detailed cab interior there, which is not very common in N-scale, but there is a molded detail. It's not focusing, but you got to trust me that there is a bit of a cab in there. Take a look at. Very clear printing on the side. You get the Siemens logo back my finger there. You get the locomotive name, and there we are. We're in focus. But the door handles, everything is, called out on there. Let's take a look at the roof. You got your beacons, your air conditioning, horns, and then a bunch of access hatches. And yes, it does look like see-through detail on there, which is so cool because not a lot of locomotives models have that out of the box. And then if you, I know the light's not on, so you can't really see, but there is kind of it's like a print of the prime mover inside, which is cool. And then we'll go underneath here, take a look. There's the trucks. And yes, you do see air hoses coming from behind the trucks there and running to the back where they sort of disappear into the, up into the locomotive. But separately applied grabs in the back here. Yep, take a look at that. Very good. Awesome, awesome, awesome detail on the back. And of course, you've got those lights there. So from a detail standpoint, nice crisp printing. Love that Amtrak blue. Awesome detail. Awesome detail. So, I mean, this, you would not, if I didn't tell you that this was a Bachmann, you might have trouble guessing who did this. All right, let's get it hooked up with some cars and do some shots around the layout.
Now arriving on track 2, southbound train 111. Please stand behind the yellow line as the train approaches the platform. Only ticketed passengers will be allowed to board the train. Your attention, please. Now departing on track 2, northbound train number 130. Passengers are advised to proceed to track 2 at this time. All aboard.
Okay, there go, folks. That is the Bachmann SC-44 Amtrak, a replication of the Siemens model. And folks, if you haven't purchased one of these and you're at all interested in doing Amtrak operations, especially modern Amtrak operations, this is just a fantastic model. So hats off to the folks over at Bachmann. I think you guys nailed this thing. Sound is awesome. The light functions are fantastic. And the detail that you get with this locomotive. To me, this model is worth the locomotive bucks that you're going to spend on it. So if you're thinking about it, you weren't quite sure, this is worth it, guys. So save up your pennies, go out and get yourself one of these models. Very happy with it. It's going to be a proud member of the fleet here for a long time. So for those of you who are thinking that Bachmann is just train sets, if you get a chance to either purchase one of these or at least go take a look at it at the hobby shop before you do, you are not going to be disappointed.